of circular motion, we can have forces pointing away from the center, and we're going to look at those in just a minute. Whoops. Well, you caught me. I'm erasing my board. I usually don't show this. So let me talk a little bit about this setup that I have if you want to try to make it on your own. It's not particularly hard to make. I know this doesn't look particularly good right now, but let me kind of talk about how I have it set up, and they're fairly easy to make.
Let me just take a few minutes and show you my little setup here. And you're welcome to make your own. This is my version of what they call a light board. So this is my little so-called studio. I have this storage room connected to my room, which I'm very fortunate to have. It's very empty right now because I have all the stuff out of it to clean it, and then I'm going to pack it up here for the summer. But this is my so-called studio. I have, and it looks a little hokey, but it's effective. I have an old blue bed sheet simply hung up from the ceiling with binder clips and string. I had a computer cart that I took off the top, and I remade the top to make up my frame. And so the frame is simply cheap plexiglass. I have a webcam camera that I have mounted to the cart, so no matter how I move the cart, the camera moves with it, which is incredibly helpful. On the arm holding the camera, I put my notes so that I can my cue cards, so to speak. From the view from the other side, I have some writing, as you can see. I can pretty much see my notes. I got lights on the side that help illuminate the markers. I use the neon markers, and you can tell a little bit of the difference between the two. I have my laptop down here to help me see. That's kind of my prompter in a way. And I have it all set up on one mobile unit. It's a little hokey. I got black construction paper to kind of shield the lights, but it's pretty doable. When I have the lights off in here, it's pretty dark, and so that's kind of nice. And so this is basically the view right by my webcam. I use Movie Maker, editing software, and you just reverse the writing, and it's kind of nice. So this is what I see when I'm talking. You see a little bit more reflection with my hand here. If you didn't notice, I wear dark colors to help reflect less of me because I'm fairly pale. And it's kind of nice. Show you a little bit of the detail of my frame. I made it all out of 2x4s, so I have a base. So I took a couple of 2x4s and I ripped them to 2x2, basically, to hold the frame of the plexiglass. Because the plexiglass is quite thin, I needed support on all four sides. Bunch of screws across the top because, again, it's thin, it gives a lot, so I needed a lot of support. I put on a couple of clips here so that I can just basically, I could take this apart. The screen comes off. I have the two side frames. This is simply attached with a couple of clamps, and it's not perfect, but it works pretty darn well. The lights I just have clamped up there. and the construction paper shields the light. If I had too much light on my notes, you can see them. Let me show you what that looks like.
So this is what it looks like when the lights are on in the room. I get a lot of reflection. I turn the lights off. Not too bad. Not too bad. If I have too much cardboard, or if I didn't have this paper right here, the lights would be reflected. The lights would be more towards the back of the room, and I get some of that reflection on the front face here. So this whiteness right here are the reflection of my notes. So I prevent, that's what some of that construction paper is there for. Some of it is to prevent it from making me really bleached out. I'm already pale enough. So yeah, like I said, I just write normally here, and then in my video editing, I just flip it. It's kind of interesting, what you got to be careful about when you flip it, because a lot of times when I'm writing, I'll say, if it's going that direction, that's to the right, which it is. It's to my right. But once I flip it, it's to the left. And so I found this out when I was doing an earlier video when I was talking about an object going left to right. I flipped the video, and it was going in the opposite direction. So, lesson learned. So this is my wet cloth. This is what it looks like as I started off, which is all nice and smeared. And then I've got, and usually I pause it during this time, not a big deal. If I didn't, it's just more to cut out. And the white cloth cleans it off. It works pretty darn well. I've got my note cards right there. It works pretty well. So I think the total cost for making this, the biggest expense, was the piece of plexiglass, which was about 30 bucks. The wood, maybe 3 pieces of 8-foot 2x4, some pieces of hardware. I had the computer cart. The lights were a few bucks a piece. I did buy those. So maybe 50 bucks to buy this, and it works out pretty well. So if you want to make your own, it's really very inexpensive to do, and it's a good way to kind of, it's kind of interesting. So when you're presenting the video, they can actually see your face instead of writing on a piece of paper where they can't see your face, but the writing, and then you can, I guess you can impose it like some people do in the corner, which is fine, but I kind of like this.